It's nearly a quarter of a century since Paul McGrath retired from professional football, and yet his status as a national hero has only grown. The pinnacles of his club career were at Manchester United and Aston Villa, where he won trophies and the affections of supporters. But his achievements with the Republic of Ireland under Jack Charlton, while battling his own personal demons, are what have made him a unique and beloved figure in this country. After all, not every player gets a chant all of their own. Paul, it's great to chat to you. It's great to see you.
Lovely to see you as well, Tommy.
I think the last time I saw you on screen was in the curry sauce ad.
Oh dear, oh dear.
No. I was very impressed.
Did me best. So,
did you ever think of acting as a career option?
No, and that didn't change my mind either. No, that wouldn't be a good thing for me.
The National Treasures thing. How does that sit with you now? You know, with the benefit of experience, how do you view all that sort of thing?
As a bit of a laugh, I think. You know, because obviously, you know, there's players who I look up to, you know, and I think they're national treasures, but they've gone before me and stuff like that. But I don't think of myself as anything but someone who likes curried sauce the odd time. And
does being a granddad change your perspective on things?
Yeah, you have to take things a little more serious, and you know, you have to try and provide for your children if they need things for their kids and stuff like that. But a lot of my kids have good jobs now and stuff like that, so it's not as bad as I thought it would be anyway.
Yeah.
But it's great, and I love them. I love them all. They're just brilliant.
Can you believe you're into your 7th decade?
You didn't,
Not to depress
Tommy,
you.
You didn't have to put it like that.
How's the body holding up?
Yeah, grand. That's the one thing I'm amazed by, that the actual body is holding up. But yeah. You know, I took up golf when I finished football, and I'm still shocking at it. But I love. That's my way now of just trying to keep a little fit.
Do you still think of yourself as Paul McGrath, the footballer, or does that seem like a different lifetime ago now?
Different lifetime. Yeah. That was a lifetime away. But I still love watching football. I love the way it's changed, and the speed that it is now. I love watching Man City at the moment, because I think the way they move the ball from back to front so quickly, and so, you know, with the players they have, obviously, so brilliantly. And I love watching the fact that Manchester United are still up there and having a chance of doing well.
Do you think you could have played yourself in the modern game?
No.
Definitely not?
Not a chance.
Don't know about that.
No. Well, if they brought back tackling, I'd be able to play in it. No, because I found there was an art in tackling that should have been appreciated and should still be around today. But I think even the way I tackled in my day, I think would still be classed as a foul now. Mm. So I don't think I'd have had a chance to play the way these lads do now. I
think you're being typically modest there about that one, but you still have the love there.
Oh yeah.
I want you to take us back to when football entered your life, and you know, you've spoken before about, you know, the difficult start you had in life. Take us into the head of the little kid who suddenly realises that this is something that they love, that they can throw themselves into. What was that like for you as a kid?
I was in school in Sallynoggin, and I was Tommy Heffernan came to me during a break and just said, would you come up to Pierce Rovers? And I think it was under 13s, and there was 3 of us he asked to go, John Young, myself and Kieran Forsyth. Tommy actually spent a lot of time with us on a Saputio board, trying to tell me in particular, not the other 2, because they were already playing in teams and they were good players. But he used to just put up this and tell me where I was supposed to be running, who I was supposed to be tackling, and he took ages and ages and ages trying to tell me how to do it. But I loved listening to him, and I wanted to learn the game. I wanted to become better. But and so he was the first man who actually got out that thing and just said, look, Paul, if you see this guy gets the ball, you can go to him and just try and tackle him and stuff like that. And if this lad, if he puts it in here, you've got to come back and help these. So he basically taught me the game in very simple terms.
So you're a long way from the player that you would become at this stage. Did playing football give you self-confidence? Was it a way of kind of expressing yourself?
Oh, of course, yeah. To be honest, Tommy, it was everything to me, because I knew I was a reasonable player, and I knew that I was a quick enough player to, if I made mistakes in football, I could correct them quite quickly. You know, so if someone did win the ball off me, I was able to turn, chase and bump, bang, and get it back and give it to someone who could actually, you know, play a little better probably than I could. So I used to do that, and I used to think, geez, I'm getting out of trouble here. Even when I get into trouble, I know how to get out of it.
Your friends at the time talk about that you had an obsession, you know, that you'd be doing push-ups, you'd be organising five-a-side games, you'd be doing, you know, the commentary. Like,
yeah,
you're one of those kids who were just totally obsessed with it. Were you thinking at that stage, oh, I could make a job out of this, or this could be my life, or
no,
was that early days?
That was too early at that stage. I was just thinking, look, like, this could be great just for me to show people, because I loved showing off. I loved to think that I was the best player, especially in the school in Sallynoggin. I used to think, you know, I was just trying to show off.
When you're a kid, and obviously you've come through a different background than everybody else, is it a way of warding off trouble, warding off bullies, that everybody kind of goes, oh, yeah, suddenly you've got status now. You're the guy who's good at football.
Oh, exactly, yeah. It was a way of just making a statement that, look, you know, I know you're against me today, but I'd rather we were both in the same team and we win something together.
From Pierce Rovers, your next stage is Dalkey United, and Frank Mullen and Billy Behan and people who would become very big, important figures in your story and where it would go. This was turned in the way things panned out. It ended up as being more just a football club to pay for. It was sort of like a family. They looked after you.
They really did,
and would lead to bigger things down the line. Yeah,
they'd got me jobs. They you know, they knew that I'd come from an orphanage. All that stuff was explained anyway, because he had to ask the master down in the home. He had to ask him, could I come to play for Dalkey and stuff like that. So I went up to Dalkey, and they treated me so well, and everything was, you know, you were picked up here at a certain time, you were brought to wherever it was we were playing and stuff. And I actually just loved it, but we were playing with grown men then. So, and I think I was 17, and John Young was 17, and Gramps had come down with us. And we enjoyed our time there. We really did. Frank Mullen and Tommy Cullen in particular just took us under his wing, and he used to try and protect us from the horde. But they were a great team, and I loved playing. Geez, there was nothing better than getting picked on that team, because there were lads like that would do your tackling for you if anyone was annoying you or trying to steam into you. They were protective, very protective of us three, because we were only kids, really, to be honest, you know. So if anyone mixed it with you, they'd mix it with you.
Sorted it out for you. They looked after you on the field and off it.
They did actually.
Because you know, they really helped out. You had a difficult time around the age of 18 when, you know, you ended up in hospital. I think it was a situation where you had a bit of a breakdown for a few months.
Yeah.
And coming out of that took its time, but with your mother and with their help, slowly you put things back together. Is that fair enough?
The lads from the team used to come up and try and make me want to, you know, just... Well, they came up initially just to see me and to make sure that I was okay. And I was away with the fairies. I just wasn't well. I was doing things that were mad when I was in St. Brendan's. And they all thought I'd never play football again. It was a struggle, because I knew that I was very, very sick. I was very, very sick. And I wanted to come back to the lads, because it was hard to watch. And my mum used to come up. My mum used to come up with her second husband, and they would just want me to get well. They would nothing else. They didn't care about the football. They just wanted me back being well. So it was strange. It was a very strange time for me, anyway.
You get back on the field and things are going well, and there's a kind of a time where you're playing your football, you've got a job at this stage, you know, you've got your family relationship with your mother and your family, and life is going steady. Is there a kind of alternative version that you ever think of? I wonder if I'd never gone to Pats and Old Trafford and all that and just kept going, or were you always kind of thinking, no, I think bigger things might be awaiting me?
No, I was thinking, isn't it great that I'm away from the stuff that I just gone through, because that was hard enough to go through. It was just totally mental. It was a total mental breakdown. So when I got well and suddenly this thing was still there, I went back to Dalkey and I started playing 1 or 2 games with them. And I said I'd never go back. I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to play football. I didn't want to kick a ball again. But I went back and then it took off straight away.
You start playing for Pats and, you know, pretty quickly you kind of become a star. You were getting write-ups in the papers. I think, you know, the famous nickname, the Black Pearl of Inchicore, which is, you know, probably of its time, but very affectionate in terms of what you were doing. You know, people raving about you. You win Player of the Year that season for Pats, for the League of Ireland. Are you loving it? Loving the attention? Loving the bit of profile?
No. No, I never. To be honest, Tommy, I never was one for, you know, getting the prizes and stuff like that. I would have much prefer the low-key thing, and I just genuinely loved playing football. The happiest I was when I was out on a football pitch for that 90 minutes, just trying to do my best and trying to score a goal and trying to play well or put in a few tackles. You know, it got bigger and bigger because people were starting to say, geez, you know, you might be going here and you might be going there. So that was that was a bit of the hard part for me anyway.
Seeing your name in the papers and people talking about you like that?
Oh no, but I loved reading my name in the papers. You know, I used to go home and show me mum, and I'd be going, geez, that's me. And you know what, I got an 8. I got an 8 in the paper this week, mum. That's 8. You know, so I was one of those. So my ego, was still there, you know. But I didn't let it. I wouldn't have let it run away with me too much. That I was suddenly one of these, you know, superstars. And St. Pat's was just. They always were. They were just a brilliant club to me.
So you get the trial at United. It goes well. You're offered a deal. Just tell me what that's like. You know, I don't care what era it is. You know, for a kid growing up obsessed with football and suddenly you're being told you're a Manchester United player. I mean, is that... And I know there'd been a lot of talk in the months and years building up that it was going to happen, but did it blow your mind? It
did. Until I heard the actual money side of things. I said, I earn more money in Dublin than I do that this man's offering me, Ron.
This is Ron Atkinson, of course.
Ron Atkinson. Yeah. And I'm saying, would it be possible to go in and just say, can you bump the money up a little bit? Like he loves the idea of playing for you, but he just wants you to bump the money up. And Ron, of course, being Ron, just knew that no one was representing me. So he just said, well, no, we've made him an offer now. He can, you know, if he wants to hop back on a plane, now he's that rude, Ron. He says if he wants to jump on a plane back to Dublin, he can do it. You know, that's no problem. We've no problem with that if he wants to do that. And then I came back tailing between legs and I said, Ron, I didn't say I didn't like the money. I just said, you know, and I am kind of happy with the money.
Because there's no question of you going back on the plane.
No, there's no way I was going to go back.
How did you find that culture shock of leaving Pats and Dublin and working as well, and your family, to suddenly you're mixing with Brian Robson and Gordon McQueen and all these names that you would have seen on Match of the Day? Yeah,
I found that strange as well, because even Bobby Charlton was walking around the place and suddenly you're seeing Nobby Styles at this end of thing, and Sir Matt Busby's walking around, and he stopped. Sir Matt Busby is the only person who, and Bobby Charlton did, I must admit, to stop and just say, you know, how are you doing? You know, well, just keep what you're doing because we think you're going to do okay here. And so there was names like that, and you just felt, Jesus Christ, this is unbelievable talking to those people.
And you meet a young kid from Belfast called Norman Whiteside, who you become firm friends with, and I think he was maybe about 17 at the time. You were 22.
Yeah.
How do you end up buddying up with him so closely?
Well, you know, we were in the same digs. We all slept in the same room, and he was lord of the digs though. Norman was 6'2". He was a proper man. He was 16 though. He was only 16, but he was as hard as nails. So he says, and he had the box, you know, the box that turns the TV over and all that sort of thing. So
you become a United player, but there's still a bit of work to do to get to become a first team player, I guess. But over the couple of seasons, you work your way in, and you're also, like, you bought a BMW, I think, at some stage.
Yeah, and I did. I bought a yellow, one of the oldest looking BMWs I've ever seen. I bought him off. There was a Greek waiter at the top of the Old Trafford road there, and he had this heap that barely didn't work. So he sold it to me. I think it was about £1,000 or something like that. So I thought it was the bee's knees. Now I have a car. You
meet Claire at this stage, who would become your first wife, and you have a child quite quickly. And there's a sort of a stable and serene, and Christopher comes along, and life is quite calm and I want to say normal, but straightforward at this. And what kind of father were you?
Yeah, I think I was a good father. I loved the fact that Christopher had come, and he was he was a lovely child, a lovely baby, and Claire was a gorgeous wife, and everything seemed to be settling down.
The breakthrough, if you like, season ends up with the FA Cup final in 1985. I think it's when you sort of really felt you established yourself as a player. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Younger people might not realise, back then the FA Cup final day was the biggest day in the calendar. So again, you're a few years over from Ireland, and it was such an eventful match as well. What are your memories of that day?
Oh, well, I think it was a huge game for us. When the game started, we were doing great. We were, matching them up and down the park. And then I tried to slip ball into Kevin, and then Peter Reid, I should say. He comes right in and cuts it out. And Kevin just kind of lifts him out of it. He just tackles him, and he goes up in the air. I thought it was a brilliant tackle myself, but he sent Kevin off, and Kevin was distraught about that. He was trying to...
The first man ever sent off.
First man ever sent off. And I was kind of hiding at that stage. I was standing behind people and everything, just so no one could see me, because in case I got called out. It was you that passed that ball, wasn't it?
But you went on to the 10 men.
Norman scored one of the best goals I've seen scored on that day. Yeah, and then obviously we're all elated and delighted, and it was a tough game though. It was a tough game with 10 men against, and they were a really good team, Everton. You know, they really, really were. So to be able to beat them with a man down.
And Frank Stapleton alongside you at the back, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was magnificent on the day. He was absolutely brilliant on the day. I think he'd played there all his life, but he kept shouting at us, "You've got to keep telling me what to do." He took charge though. He was the one that was doing all the shouting. Keep telling me what to do. Keep telling me. I'm saying, "But you have to shut up and let's play the game." A lot of us have to chip in here, but we did it, and it was a wonderful day. Jeez, a wonderful day, because that's the first thing I'd won.
In your book, though, when you talk about the celebrations of that, you say you are hearing voices of self-doubt at that time, even though you've made it at United, you're a cup winner, you're breaking through international scene around that time as well.
Yeah.
You still sort of felt, did you feel, I'm going to get found out here, or I don't belong here? No, I thought I belonged there, but I think I was doing things that were a little
off would I say off the wall? Yeah, off the wall. Because if myself and Norman were injured, me and Norman would look over, he'd be on one bed, I'd be on the other, and we'd have our knees done, and then we'd say, what are you doing for the rest of, the day? Why don't we just go for a few after this? And that kind of became a routine with myself and Norman, and we were that daft that we didn't think it would get back to them. You know what I mean? And they knew well that we weren't behaving in the way a professional who's injured of all things should be behaving. So
people say about the team that Ron had there that went very close. I think in today's terms, I mean, they were top 4 every year that you were there under Ron. Winning cups, they'd probably be regarded as a certain degree a success, but that the drinking culture at the club was holding them back. Whether it was yourself and Norman or Brian Robson and a number of other players maybe involved in that. Yeah. Looking back now, do you think that was the case? Did that what stopped the team going over?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I think when Sir Alex had us up in the in his office and telling us this can't go on. It's stupid. Like, what are you doing to yourselves? You're forcing my hand anyway. And I would have to say that I think Sir Alex had intimated to 1 or 2 people that I got to hear about that I wasn't one of the players he was particularly happy with at Old Trafford, and this was before he'd even arrived at the place. So I knew I was for the heave-ho anyway.
When Big Ron left, and you liked Ron, didn't you?
Yeah, I liked Ron. Yeah,
in personality terms and his football style.
Yeah, I liked everything about Ron because he made the training so fun. The problem was he joined in it. That was something I could have done without. But he was actually okay.
And Fergie, look, the history would show he would be right in what he came in. But
exactly,
he puts your hackles up right away in terms of the way he speaks to you. Is that right? He's very domineering.
Yes. The first game we played was Oxford away, I think. And he put me in midfield. I was a centre-half. He put me in midfield. And then he took me off at half-time. That warm side, I could not find it, honestly. I liked what he was trying to do and stuff like that. But I think in your first game, if you're going to play a person like me out of position and then take me off at half-time, you're trying to tell me something. I know you're trying to tell me something.
He admitted that he handled you wrong. He said if he'd have been a more experienced manager, he would have been more fatherly. That he almost needed to mellow himself as the years later on, and he would probably handle players differently later.
I think he's doing himself a misservice there, because I think what he did was totally right for Manchester United. And that his job was to root out what was happening at Manchester United that was wrong. Yeah. And me and Norman at that stage were wrong for Manchester United. That's what I believe anyway.
It comes to head in 1989 and they offer you 100 grand to basically retire and a testimonial. So you'd had a terrible time, as you mentioned, with your injuries over the preceding seasons. Do you consider it?
Yeah, I did consider it, but Gordon Taylor, I think, was with me at that time. Kevin was there.
The PFA.
Yeah, Kevin was around, so I could talk to him. And Brian Robson was around, and Norman, actually. And I'd said no. I said, look, I can still play football. I know for a fact that my legs will still allow for me to play football. So I said, yeah, I'm going to play on. And I said it to Gordon Taylor. And Gordon was delighted. Gordon said, I'll go in and tell Sir Alex that you're no matter what they're offering you, you're still going to play on. And in he marched and just said it to him. So, and I was delighted. I was thinking, Jesus, the bravery of the man just saying that to him, like, do what you want, he said. He's still going to play football for someone. And then a year or two later, he said, well, the only inquiry we had was from Liverpool and we weren't going to sell him to Liverpool. And I'm thinking, geez, well, thanks for telling me.
So you could have gone to Liverpool?
I could have gone to Liverpool, because I think they knew what Alex was playing with here. He just wanted me out of football, so, and not playing for anyone else, which is kind of cruel.
Would you have gone?
To Liverpool.
In a heartbeat?
Oh, like a shot from a gun. Like a shot from a gun.
We'll maybe take a step back and just I want to talk about your sense of Irishness, even before being capped. Obviously, you're growing up as a black Irish person when there wasn't too many around in the 60s and 70s.
Very true.
What was that like? Was it difficult? Was it a difficult time? And did some people try and make you feel any less Irish at that time?
No, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. But you're always going to get it on a football pitch. If you're playing against someone who wants to rile you up and stuff like that, it's easy to just say, you know, you call me a black bastard or nigger or whatever they want to call me anyway. So, and those I never used to react to.
Reading in your book about this time, you were proud of of being black. You had black heroes, you know, Pele in 70 and Phil Lynott and Muhammad Ali. You know, that was, you weren't sort of saying, I wish I was like everybody else. You were... No. But I went round thinking I was like everyone else anyway, because the only time I felt that the black thing was when I looked in the mirror. I genuinely mixed with people who were where I grew up. I mixed with everyone, never a problem sort of thing. I'm actually quite proud of being the colour I am. So, you know, it's makes no difference to me. And it's only when other people bring it up that I suddenly go, yeah, well, geez, yeah, you're right. You know, I'm slightly different, but so what? You were, I suppose, effectively, though, a groundbreaker for a different kind of Irishness in that time, because at that time it was very much, you know, white, Catholic, you know, traditional. That's what Irish looked like, and you came through. And in the decades since, you know, what it is to be Irish is a very different thing now. It's a very broad thing. So do you feel a certain sense of pride that maybe there was kids looking at you in Italia 90 and 94 kind of went, yeah, you know...
Well... Yeah, I'd hope so. I'd hope so, because it's great. Ireland have always been very accepting, I think. Anyway, you know, you're obviously going to get the odd fool who will say a thing to you, but Irish people have always been very welcoming to all sorts of different cultures and different peoples. So, yeah, we're one of those people who don't turn people away and you know, are always helping even countries further afield and stuff like that. So that's what I love about Ireland and I love about the Irish. And we don't seem to go out of our way to harm other people in other places or anything like that. So it's been a fabulous country for me anyway to grow up in.
So when you were called up to the Ireland squad then, another dream, you know, whatever about United and Cups. This is another one that every young footballer would have. Is this another moment where your mind is blown? You're meeting more heroes, the Liam Brady's, the Lawrences.
This goes up another pedestal, though. I think
this is under Owen Hand's time, isn't it?
Yeah, under Owen's time. I had to kind of do it in the way I normally did things, which was I'd have to ease my way in very slowly.
Yeah. It was that shyness.
I've always had that. This thing of just being really, really shy of women, shy of fellas, shy of just not wanting to be in too many people's company at once. And I would have been a bit in awe of Liam because I'd, you know, I just thought he was one of the, well, he still is one of my heroes, you know.
And in February 1986, the whole history of the country changes, you might say. Jack Charlton is appointed Irish manager. Not that you're that enthusiastic to start off with, is that right to say?
That would be right.
Sure?
That would be right to say. Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a strange one, you know, an Englishman coming to be the main man of the Irish national team. I didn't think that was right. So yeah, I would have had a little bit of a whine about that.
Yeah. How quickly does he win you over, though?
The first training session. The first training session was so unusual. he was talking about colours. You jumped on certain colours and stuff. I think we did it in a gymnasium, and he was going puce, and I never knew puce was a colour. and he was going, touch the air. When I say puce, it's up in the air. When I say, and they were so strange, the colours. But we were doing it, and we were kind of laughing, and then we were trying to think of the colours as well. So because no one wants to make a mistake, because you didn't want to be sent home on the first time you've met him. But he did it in a funny way as well. He was laughing with it as we were jumping, because some of the lads just couldn't get it right at all. But even on the first day, I think he had the lads. I honestly do. On the first day, by throwing in this weird kind of training session.
He was kind of quirky and different.
It was so quirky, yeah, and so different. But I think he did it on purpose. Again, I think that Jack does certain things just for... just to keep you on your toes. It's nothing to do with him. He just, honestly, because he called me James so many times that I obviously answered to it. But I thought, I used to think, well, what happens when he calls me Paul then again? But he did it for so long that I just answered to it, and whatever the game was, I kind of played it, and he knew my name all along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He did.
The Finding Jack Charlton film, I think people who've seen it, it was such a reminder of what a man he was, that he was the boss. It was his way or the highway, very much so, but at the same time, so warm, so fun, such great humanity about him.
Yeah. I'd caused him one or two problems along the way. And I remember one in particular when there was a band, Gerazi, who wanted me to do this single with them. So I went to the studios, and I was so nervous, and I said, would it be okay if I had a couple of pints and stuff like that? So, and I had a couple of pints, and then I said, would you mind? I'm not a singer. You girls sing and stuff like that. Would you mind if I had another couple of pints and stuff? I get up the next morning, and I'm saying to Kevin, geez, Kevin, I'm still buzzing from the night before, but I was coming down a little bit. So as we're getting to the stadium, Jack comes back and said, Paul, look, we need you to play. Just come into the ground, and we will get you a card then from the ground if you don't want to play. And I said, but I can't walk through the crowd to go into the thing. This is what I'm trying to tell you, is whatever I've drunk, it's not been good for me, and I don't feel well. So eventually Jack says, Paul, if you don't get off now, this could be the last time you ever play for us. And I said, I honestly hate saying this, but it might be the last time I play for you then, because I really don't feel well, and I didn't feel well. And Eddie Bryan then came along and just said, Paul, I'll take you back to the hotel. So we walk, and it was so surreal. We were walking in the opposite direction to get a taxi to bring me back to the hotel, and walking through the crowd, and them seeing me walking through the crowd when I was supposed to be playing a game. And I knew I let them down that day. And then they won, obviously they beat them 5, I think it was 5-0 or something. And I was just shivering in the bed. There was sweat everywhere. And he walks in the bed and he pulls the blankets down, and I was just covered in sweat. And he just went, he said, oh, sorry, son. He said, I didn't realise how hard you got it. And he just took the things under my chin, and he just said, I'll be back later on. And I think in that, even in seeing me that way, he just thought, oh, Jesus Christ, what a state.
But he didn't kick you out. He did,
No.
He had that caring.
Oh no, that's what
paternal.
I was amazed that he'd even come down to the room to me, to be honest.
And you run through brick walls then for him.
Oh, I would
because of that.
But yeah, and that's what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to say, please pick me for the next one, and I will promise you, no, I won't be drinking up to that game, and I will give you a game that you want, and we'll win that game. I'm telling you.
The results start to come, and he's obviously got that sort of effect on everybody, because everybody starts running through brick walls for him. And then you still need, though, for Euro '88, the famous Gary Mackay goal for Scotland against Bulgaria. Where were you when you heard that?
I was
that
in
we'd actually qualified.
I was in hospital getting my left knee done, and Kevin Moran rang me in the hospital, and he said in Bupa in Manchester, and he said, I didn't even know the game was on. I wasn't watching any games. I wasn't doing it. And I was just sitting in the hospital, and he rang me and he said, "We're through. We've made it through." And I went, "Through to where?" And he said, we're in the Euros. We're in the Euros. I said, "What do you mean we're in the Euros? Sure, didn't we finished?" And he said, "No, Gary Mackay scored a goal. We're going." And that was the first I'd heard of it. So, and it was absolutely, pandemonium after that, because it was just great for being our first competition. And you were kind of sad because you knew there was only going to be a certain amount of people coming on that trip. And here's me sitting in bed with my knee in plaster yet again, hoping that I was going to be ready for it. So, yeah, it was tough.
But you were ready for it, and you were there on the field in Stuttgart.
I was indeed.
It's kind of a mythical day now for Ireland. Like, what pictures does it conjure in your mind?
I remember I was getting off the bus, and Mick Byrne shouted up at there was a crowd of Irish lads, kind of like, we were lower in the stadium, but he looks up and we'll do them for you today. And I'm going, Mick, don't be telling them that. Jesus, you never know, But I loved the way he did it, like, because Mick always thought we were going to hammer them anyway. No, but I knew, and all the Irish players knew, though, if you measured up the English players to the Irish players, there wouldn't be much in it. Do you know what I mean? There genuinely wouldn't. People would have thought, because the Linekers and the Robsons and the this, that and the other, we had lads that were brilliant footballers. But, yeah, we went at them. We just went at them, and then we scored this great goal. Something good is going to happen to your team that day when the smallest man on the pitch puts a header in over Tony Adams and people. The lovely thing for us was, though, we didn't have... the Irish fans were no trouble. And that was another bonus for us.
So the team were doing us proud and the fans were doing themselves proud, and it was just a real sense of general accomplishment.
Carnival, it was a carnival atmosphere. And then to beat England on the first game, geez, you're thinking, we're going to win it. We're that good, we're brilliant. And mind you, they had a right few shots. Packy was brilliant on the day, I have to say that.
When you go home and you get the homecoming, but the memory of the performances and how you acquitted yourself, does that then feed into the confidence of the team into the Italia 90 qualifiers, that suddenly it's not, oh, here's Ireland, they're underdogs.
Yeah.
You're a serious team now.
Yeah, I think everyone would have thought that, that these lads, they come to play, they play a different sort of game and stuff like that, but they just will not give you a second's piece on a football pitch. I think in the Russian game, because Ronnie was playing and I wasn't playing, I think the lads got it down and they started playing football. Now, I'd never seen Ireland play as well that night. I was raging I wasn't even on the pitch. Now, I had got an injury, so that's my only excuse. But that's the best I've seen an Irish team play, and that was a very, very good Russian team. And I genuinely thought, and I thought I wouldn't get my place back, because I thought, Jesus, and he scored the goal as well, the Shinner.
Yeah.
So I'm going, I've no chance now. But Ronnie, I would have kept Ronnie in, to be if I'm going to be honest about it. Even though it would have ruined my day.
I want to talk about Italia 90, but before that, I want to talk about another transfer that never happened. You're a big star now between sort of after 88 and before 90. And is it true that you were approached by Napoli to play alongside Diego Maradona?
That is actually quite true, but it kind of got switched a little bit, because he said to me, no, there was a huge boat out in the harbour. I was on this free holiday, and there was a load of Italians in this restaurant, and they kept saying to me the senior someone was coming down to see me, and then they pointed to this boat that was well offshore, and it was huge. It was a boat, and this phone call came in and said, Mr. Mr. whatever his name is out in his boat at the moment. He was just saying, are you in? Can he come in and talk to you now? And I said, is that his boat? Like, yeah, of course he can come in. So this fella came in now. He didn't talk much, obviously much English. And he said, Paul McGrath, what would it take to get you? What would it take to get you here? And I was thinking, 2 bob. Take 2 bob. And he was chatting away and stuff like that. And then he said, and about Ronnie Whelan, what about, how much do you think it would take to get Ronnie Whelan here? And I'm thinking, am I being set up here? He wants Ronnie. Because I was thinking to myself, imagine me and I had all setting up in my head, me and Maradona. It's a 1-2 in the middle of the pitch, and I'm in there, and I'll score the goal. But yeah, I think it was Ronnie they wanted. Maybe in the long run, given what El Diego was at off the field over there. I wouldn't know. Yeah. I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. But I loved the football he played, Diego. He was just he was just amazing. Well, you were in Italy yourself pretty soon after that with the team. You know, you've talked about that special journey that the whole country went on. What are your memories of that tournament, of that summer, of everything that you did and accomplished in that extraordinary few weeks? Yeah, I think it was just brilliant for all the players that were there, because I'm talking about that bond thing. We just bonded as players. I mean, the Romania game was incredible, because Hadji was one of these players who just gets the ball and he just decides he might sidestep 4 people and then have a shot, you know. And then when it went to the penalties, I hid. He hid. No, I didn't want to take one of the penalties, and thank God David was back in, and he took the last penalty and scored the goal. So that was kind of fitting, really, that he'd been out for so long, and then to come back and, you know, score the winning penalties was brilliant for him. And you were seeing all the pictures from home being sent out to you, weren't you? Oh yeah, yeah. We were seeing the mad pictures at home where people were just going nuts at this stage, because everything was clicking into place. And when I say everything, I think even knowing that I don't think we're going to have enough for the Italians, and that was the downside of it. But you gave a pretty good account of yourselves on the night. Oh yeah, we did. Like, we were trying so hard, but I think that, you know, they well deserved to win on the night as well. You were voted our best player of the tournament, and I think you'd vowed not to drink for the tournament and to actually give it your absolute best shot. Yeah, because so you had that sense of reward for doing that. I said, I have to go out here and I have to give it my best shot for once in my life. I have to go out and just not let anyone down, or not, you know, try to let anyone down. And it worked out okay. It worked out okay. It was, you know, I would have liked to kick on another couple of times, but you know, I think we were all proud of each other. And that's what it's all about. You can't, if you're not going to win the major prize, you know, you just want to show people that you've done your best. Well, let's have a look at the welcome that awaited you then when you got back to Dublin. And I think we have a little clip here of when Jack introduced you to the crowd.
The tide had turned. People saw economic and social progress. Employment was rising. Immigration had almost ceased.
We just grew up. We just got a sense of self-respect, a sense of pride. Politically, economically, we had won the right to take our place as a nation.
The next thing we're going to lose.
Because if we could possibly win the World Cup, then we have to question everything.
How do you feel watching that now?
Yeah, it's nice, you know. Very nice.
At the time, even in a moment like that, and within your struggles, and you know, were you able to take a step back and and think of your mother, think of your childhood, the journey you'd come on, and think, my God, I haven't done too bad. You know, was it a feeling of
but
pride?
I think it was more a feeling of you know, the team doing well rather than you personally. You know, it always was that, seriously.
So in the madness and the glory and the adulation of the crowd and the country and the national treasure thing, like I talked about at the start, the thing that resonates for you 30 odd years later, wherever we are, is the friendship and the family atmosphere and Jack and everything on a personal level. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I just think all that means so much more to me than how far we got and all this sort of stuff. But it was such a journey that, you know, I'll never be on a journey like that again. And I loved every single minute of it. And it was the bunch of lads that looked after me. They had to look after me sometimes, and cared for me enough to do it, to be honest. And I loved them all. And then we walk out, and suddenly you see the crowd, and I'd say 80% of it is all in green, Irish green, you know, and Irish flags everywhere. And there's odd bits of blue in odd places. You just couldn't have...
There was something in the air.
Yeah, with that many Irish people in the stadium, you couldn't have lost that game.